Guys, we are live. It is Monday night. This is our night with the Coach Reed Live show. I'm here with my man, Kerry Davis, Big Ten champion, Super Bowl champion, and really one of my top 5 haters in the world. Right? I'm here with my guy, Smoke Dixon, SEC champion, front office personnel, my number 1 hater. Not top 5. He's 2, 3, 4, 5. He's number 1. And Brandon Clay, all right, the president of the Baldhead Coalition.
I look good, don't I?
And me, I'm the only guy on the show that can still grow hair. Smoke
hey, Reed, I'm your number 0 hater, though. I ain't never hated, man.
never hated.
Give it time, Clay. Give it time. Hey, you know what buttons to push to get you to where you need to be. He needs that to thrive.
Hey, Reed, if I can interject for a second, you know, typically when someone calls you hater, haters usually hang out in like crowds and like little groups, like little hating groups, and bring people with them. And you just, oh, that's a hating group. I roll dolo, man. I've been a solo guy for a long time.
The one man.
When I play corner, Reed, all I ask you is safety, just be in the middle of the field. How much help do you want, Smoke? I'm good. Let me figure this out on my own. So I don't think I think I speak the truth to you, and we can run it all back. I told you, and Kerry, let me get 2 minutes with him real quick.
Go ahead.
Last December, I told you there was a team in Florida that was going to be terrible. And what did you tell me?
I told you they was going to be fine.
Yep. 1-8 ain't fine. Are we good on that? I told you that I don't care what drink is drinking out there in Missouri.
Oh.
That he cannot roll into Alabama. I don't care if it's DeBoer, Shula, Franchione, or Saban. That W ain't coming out of there with Missouri. Keep it up. Right or wrong?
You told me that.
I also told you that when Caleb Williams gets in the NFL, that running around, no bueno. And I told you whoever gets Cam Ward have a chance of winning national championship.
You did. You did. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. You did say all of those things, you know. But we're gonna, over the course of this next hour or so, we're gonna get into some of the other things you said where you wasn't right on. We ain't gonna give it. I'm gonna spell it out.
Let me find those out.
I got a whole notebook of what I call smoke takes. Right? I got a whole file of smoke takes. So we're going to get to that. Guys, I was watching college football. I was actually watching the Iowa State Texas Tech game because I got good friends on both staffs. Good football game. Iowa State has been having a remarkable season. Texas Tech with the upset. But most importantly, we'll get to Texas Tech here in a minute. When Texas Tech got the upset, my phone started to buzz a little bit, right? And I said, surely people not calling me about Colorado because they didn't even play this weekend. Prime is fishing. Shador is in Vegas. I'm chilling watching Iowa State and Texas Tech, my good friends Matt Campbell and Joy McGuire. But has Colorado positioned themselves to potentially throw themselves in the playoff race by controlling their own destiny? Smoke, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to let you start.
Reed, you know there's only a couple of jerseys that's up in my house. And you know Deion Sanders is one of them. And you know, as much as you think that I'm not a super prime fan, I'm a super prime guy. And I'm 100% so happy that my man has the opportunity to control his own destiny with his team that's playing well right now. I wish they didn't have an off week because they're one of the hotter teams. And when you're hot like that, you just want to keep on rolling. And when you control your own destiny, you can't blame anybody but yourself on what happens moving forward. Shout out to Prime what he's done out there in the last 2 years. I told you last year, 3 wins, 3+ wins. Everybody was upset. Oh my God, he can't get. Oh yeah, that's another bet that you owe me. I told you he wasn't gonna get 6 in the first year. That's one that you were down to. I said that too. That's correct. But being +3 in year 1, that's amazing. And what he's doing right now, man, outstanding. So I know that you don't want everybody to throw flowers on you, but if I had a whole bunch of bouquet, I'll just hit you right in the face. Give you and Coach Prime and Colorado their flowers, because if you blink, they'll be in that playoff party.
we're not gonna talk about Flowers just yet. I was gonna go in on
them. You got them. You want them. You got them.
I was gonna go in when they got bowl eligible, but I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. But Kerry, you know this. Kerry and I were high school teammates. We go way, way back. Mm-hmm. Football, you got to take it 1 week at a time, right? You got to be really careful that when people start talking about playoff, and I talked to Prime on Sunday, and we talked about controlling your own destiny, but you can't play the Big 12 championship until the Big 12 championship. And so you got to slow down. You got to bite that elephant one bite at a time, and you got to worry about Texas Tech this week. Kerry, what's your thoughts on how the Big 12 race is shaping out?
Well, I think, it looks good for Colorado. Everything has kind of fallen in their favor. I've seen the teams that are losing in front of them. BYU still is a team for me that I think does not get enough credit. Maybe because you don't get to see them play that often because they play late at night and they on the West. And so people don't really get to pay attention to them. But when I watched them play Kansas State earlier this year, in that environment, to me, that was a dynamic team that had a lot. And Kansas State came in, ranked, ready to go in there and take care of business. BYU was the team that I saw show up, and I was very, very, very impressed with what they had. Now, for Colorado, as you said, the schedule for them coming up, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State, that's a schedule that you can win, but you do have to take it 1 week at a time. If everything is going in the right direction for them in this moment, keep going. They have been fortunate. They didn't have to play this week. They had the week off and still were able to gain a couple of spots in the standings, so in the rankings. So for me, watching that team, I told with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders what they're able to do, their poise, their ability to play in high pressure moments and not shrink, not blink, not fade away. Like those are the moments that as it gets later in the season. For me, I don't know about y'all. This is how I feel. Football don't start till you can look outside and see your breath. That's when football starts. Like when you can see your breath, then football is starting. We're approaching that time where you can start to see your breath when you breathe, and that's when football. That's when you know who's making plays and who's not, and that's when you become a champion. So for me, what Colorado has in front of them is the sky's the limit because all of the teams in front of them have kind of had some missteps.
Yeah. And Reed, really, there's always a trap game in there somewhere. And if you look at it, I would say Utah. Just for the simple fact that you know how they want to play. They want to put you in that phone booth and they want to rough you up. And I know their quarterback's down right now, but Coach Whittingham always finds a way to make it look dirty and murky up the water for somebody on that Saturday. So there's always trap games in there, and that's one I just identified as one that you're like, once they get past that one, I think they're in a good place.
Kerry, you mentioned BYU. Smoke, I just want to throw this out here. Kalani Sitake, the head coach of BYU, he's from St. Louis also. Smoke, I just want to keep that in mind. Graduate of Kirkwood High School. St. Louis versus everybody. I just want to throw that out there.
Only one St. Louis guy on here. The other guy's from Detroit. What it is, man. 3-1-3.
Where you born is where you raised. Smoke is where you raised.
Interestingly enough, let me say this on the topic. I think for Colorado first and foremost, and Reed, you know this. Kerry, great point about the weather in the air. As a self-professed Falcons fan, a lot of times by the time I could do that, the season's over. Fortunately, we're not in that space this year. The season's just warming up for us. And
I just keep them inside, Clay. You'll be good.
I feel good today. I can't lie to you. Shout out to my boy Kirko Cousins, man. Not Kirk, Kirko. But I think Deion and Colorado, it's rare in life, right? Not only in football and sports, but in life, that you can look at a short window of time, know that you've done your work, and that you control what you can control in terms of destiny. Obviously, you can't control the injury bug, things like that. But in terms of your preparation and just finishing the job you started, really, what was it, 18 months ago when they arrived on campus, to be able to put themselves in this position this quickly, where now all of a sudden you look up and your 4 wins in, honestly, Vegas lines where they should be favored in all 4 games, right? How often do you get that opportunity in life to play BYU? And Smoke, to your point about Utah, BYU's got to see them this Saturday. You talk about a trap game, and obviously they've done a great job quarterback has played really well. I think it's Retloff. He's had a really good year. They just get a lot of production from different places, maybe not a star. They remind me in the Big 12. I know they're leading the pack, so it's a little different, but they remind me a lot of Indiana, where they don't have that singular person, man. I'm going to talk about Rourke later in the show from Indiana. They don't have that singular guy that's a night one or night two draft guy necessarily that you love, that just jumps off the page and makes you talk about them. And they don't have that huge personality, long-standing year in, year out coach that makes you talk about them. But they're really good, man. They're really good in all facets of the game, all three. They've got 22-plus guys that can go out and the smoke will say, rough you up, give you a hard time. And then I think that's a game that if we get to see Colorado versus BYU, not only has Colorado put themselves in position for the playoff, but BYU is so good. If they can win out and Colorado can win out and some other things happen around them, you might look around, and if the game is close and competitive, they both find their way into the playoff. So that's a wrinkle that we hadn't got to yet. A lot of that will depend, obviously, on the next 4 or 5 weeks around them, but that's a very possible thing. If Miami runs the table in the ACC and everybody else is not good, they're in singularly. Boise State, the group of 5 bid. If Notre Dame tricks off the church's money, you could easily see Colorado and BYU get in. So just pocket that, fellas.
One thing that I look at when I think about BYU and we talk about them possibly matching up with Colorado in the Big 12 championship, a matchup that I would love to see. BYU has a special edge guy, Tyler Batty, who is an incredible player, going against the freshman Jordan Seaton, who week after week is getting better and is looking like a guy that's going to be a future top 5 pick in the draft 2 years from now. I love those kind of matchups. And as much as we get into the skill guys and we get into the guys that are potentially in the Heisman race, though, it's those kind of matchups that decide championship games like that.
Especially when the leaves, like Kerry said, especially when the leaves are falling off the tree.
Yeah, buddy.
It's trench warfare.
Yes, sir.
Well,
that up front, who is able to move a man against their will? Like, that's what offensive line play is, and who is not willing to be moved. Like, that's offensive line and defensive line mentality, philosophy. That's it. Like, I have to move this man against his will, and the defensive lineman say, I cannot be moved. I shall not be moved. And whoever wins, that's the beautiful thing about football, man. I love this game so much, bro. When it get cold and you get to see that matchup, that's when football is at its best, at its finest.
We saw that I know Reed gonna get to it, but we saw it this weekend though, Kerry. Ooh, we saw that. Man against the will. We saw it up close and personal.
Let's get right into that, Smoke. Let's talk Ohio State, Penn State, Kerry's neck of the woods, the Big Ten. Smoke, you've been more critical of Ohio State probably than any person that I've talked to. What did they show you? Is it what they showed you, or is it what Penn State didn't show you? What were your thoughts coming away from that game?
I still believe both teams are what I expected going in. Ohio State, they have the best team on paper when you talk about personnel. When I watched the game on live TV copy, I went back and watched all 22. Neither one of those quarterbacks showed me NFL starter ability. That's what I wanted to go into the game and walk away from it saying, okay, which one of these guys could you say you draft and they take their team to the next level? Neither one of them showed you that. So again, it came down to the trenches. And trenches were even. And it finished that way, even all the way around. Even to going towards a goal line stand where you saw that Ohio State's trenches were better than Penn State's trenches, and they couldn't get in an end zone. And your quarterback could not make one play, speaking of Drew Aller, to get in the end zone. And then Will Howard almost cost Ohio State the game. So I walked away saying coaching wasn't necessary, and it was player on player. And Ohio State had the best players on the field, and they were better than Penn State. And Penn State, I hate to say this, but I don't believe they can ever beat Ohio State. I saw the look in their eyes looking across the field after that 4th down stop and that goal line stop. They came back and Ohio State just ran the ball down their throat, Kerry. We talked about will against will. Yeah, Ohio State's Will Howard showed them that his will is stronger. And they got those first down.
It was such a surprise because Penn State jumps out to the lead, right? They kick a field goal, they score the pick six, and in my mind, I'm like, this is the Penn State I've been waiting on. Like, this is the Penn State that I thought would be coming to the party. And then, like you say, it's just the attrition, the game, just every down, every snap, every series, and you're unable to do the things that you need to do to win that game. For me, that's the frustrating. Penn State, there's no way, in my opinion, they should have lost that game, especially when you're at home, you jump out to that lead, you got the momentum, everything is in your favor. But Ohio State showed me something. They showed poise. They showed an ability. They showed me that they can be a championship team because they showed the poise being down in that environment. If you ain't never been to Penn State, man, let me tell you something. Everybody talk about the SEC and those environments. It's wonderful. I believe it. I've been to a few of them. Penn State is one of the best places in the country to play football, whether you're the home or the away team. It is an environment that is crazy as can be. 110,000 plus people screaming and shouting on a Saturday afternoon, morning, evening, whenever they play. It is outstanding. Ohio State showed poise in that moment to come back in that game and not blink. And that's what I'm telling you, when you are down in that environment and don't have a thought to give in or give up, they scored on the next drive. And so now it's 10-7 and they're like, yeah, we're right back into this game. And Penn State allowed it, in my opinion. Right. That's the frustrating part for me.
Well, Kerry, it's because when you haven't beaten a team and your head coach don't even believe that you can.
I think they believe they can. Smoke. I'm not gonna put that jacket on James Franklin.
You don't have to put it on. It's already on, right? You don't have to put something that it's already baked and sewn into you. After the game, and you're sitting there, you listen to the press conference, and you listen to the players afterwards. There wasn't a player in that locker room, in my humble opinion, believe that they can overcome the Buckeyes across the field. Case in point, you have the ball 4 times in the red zone, and you get 6 points. You end the game mano a mano. We're going to line up, and there's no other way. We all played ball. You knew at the end of practice, if the coaches grabbed the ball and put it on the 2-yard line and said, coordinator, call your best offense, D coordinator, call your best. Good on good. We're going right now, goal line.
Love it.
No, it don't get no bigger than that. You don't want it no other way than that. And if you can't score to put the game and tie it up, that ain't it. And then you get the ball, they get the ball at the 2-yard line, and you allow them to run the ball down your throat for first downs. Yeah. I'll see you next year, the year after, and I'm still looking over there saying, hey, homeboy, I don't care if you go up by 15, 20, or 30. You know you can't whoop me.
To your point, if you get the ball inside the 3 and you got 2, 3 opportunities, 4 opportunities to score, and you don't deserve to win the game. Like that's now, because that goes back to what I just said. O-line versus D-line. As an offensive lineman, this is what we would tell our offensive linemen. If you score with your man, we score. Push him past the goal line. You're gonna score. He right there behind you.
But Kerry, you also, they get the ball backed up.
And you don't get a stop. Yeah.
And they walk you right down the field.
I'm telling you.
Clinic tape on the O-line.
Bro, they took, look at the last 5 plays of that game. They wanted no more, nothing left, and it was over. You tell me I can't score on goal line defense. I'm running out there like, hey, fellas, don't worry about this. You guys get the ball back on our 40, plus 40.
Right.
And you have an opportunity to go back in. No worries. But you bleed the clock out? Yeah, I'm sorry. I know that he's never beaten them. Yeah, game over, game set match. His players are better than yours. Coach whooped you. It was an overall whooping that day.
Smoke, what's your we talked a lot, we watched this guy a lot last year together. What's your pro evaluation long term for Drew Aller as a quarterback prospect in the National Football League?
I think he's a functional backup player right now in terms of his skill set. And if I was I would come back and play as much college football as possible just to speed that process up a little bit more and give him a better chance at becoming a better pro player. Because if you look at him right now, it's like moments are getting too big for him, and the game still hasn't slowed down for him as yet. Like you're looking at Ohio State saying, if I'm a quarterback that wants to compete against a guy across from me, and I know that everyone on that team, they're saying they're pros. Yeah, I'm fired up and I'm playing my best game. You've seen him make throws, but then there's times that he comes out and the game, again, is speeding up and he misses easy throws. He's not anticipating. I know he's a little bit banged up. He played a tough game, but I walked away saying these guys, both of those guys, are classic backups. Put them on an island, take them to backup island, and I think that's what they are moving forward. I don't think they're win with or win because quarterbacks in the NFL, just looking at what I saw on Saturday. And overall, just their entire resume in college.
Brandon, when you think about recruits, right, and it was a big recruiting weekend at Penn State. Does losing a game like that move the needle for prospects and recruits when they're deciding between Ohio State and Penn State potentially down the stretch?
Yes, the wrong way. All those kids, they all have the same offers, man. Like, and it doesn't matter what sport you're talking about, right? Football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, like all those top kids, volleyball, softball, they all have the same offer package, right? If I'm good enough to get the Penn State offer, I'm probably good enough to get the Ohio State offer, the Michigan offer, I got the Georgia offer, the Bama offer, like some combination of those. And unfortunately for James Franklin, it feels a lot like how Mark Richt felt at Georgia, where he's gotten them back to a really good place, right? 7-0 going to – that's a really good place in college football. The air is almost cold. You're still in the mix. But you know going into the game that you're just going to be hard-pressed to win it, man. You don't have any faith. You don't have any confidence. That's a tough place. And unfortunately for Franklin, once you get that label, right, it smokes – once that jacket's on you, it's hard. I don't know that I've ever seen somebody get that far and get the jacket off of them, right? The Buffalo Bills, you think about people that have lost historically. Yeah. And once you get that jacket, it's hard. And to a recruiting standpoint, how do you then turn and get that next guy? Because when's the last time we've seen Penn State have that guy? There was a lot of chatter about Drew, about Singleton coming into the season. There was just a lot of noise, in a good way, respectfully, right? Those guys are good football players. They're not top of night one football players. They're just not. They're good. And so for James Franklin, not being able to recruit that level guy, it hurts. But you got to win games like that, in front of crowds like that, in front of recruits like that, to supplant a Ryan Day, to supplant a Kirby Smart, to supplant DeBoer at Alabama, to supplant even Lincoln Riley at USC. Like, you're going to fight all of those people. And obviously Lincoln's going through a little bit of that out west right now. And when it's not going well and you can't win the big game, because that's the game those recruits are changing their schedule. Julian Lewis now he was at Colorado. Now he's changed his schedule to go see Indiana. He's going to all these big games, right? They want to be in that mix. They want to win those games. They want to be in that locker room after when Kyra Lacey going crazy on IG Live. They want to be in the mix. And unfortunately, Franklin just haven't been able to get it done. Reed, you and I have talked about that a good bit, and it still remains to be seen for guys like Marcus Freeman and other guys that are coaching top 10 caliber teams. Can they do that this year as the stakes get a little bit higher and it gets a little bit colder? But unfortunately, Franklin just hasn't gotten it done. And at this point, they're in a tough spot. I just don't know if they're going to have a chance to get it done this year. If I'm a voter, at the end of the day, man, it's going to be hard to put them in over someone like a BYU or Indiana if they're able to find their way.
Hold on.
You got to roll, man.
Whoa. Hit the brakes. Pump the brakes. Yeah, they lost to the best team that money can buy, talent-wise. Yeah, they only lost by 7 points. Goal line stance. If that receiver don't let the ball hit him in his face and my man make the interception, they score, they kick a field goal, they come back and they slip and fall in the end zone. Yeah, we're not having this conversation. So I can firmly say that James Franklin and Penn State, they don't have the belief that they can ever beat the Buckeyes. Penn State still being one of the top 10 teams, top 5 teams in the nation. Yeah, snap them. They're there. They're still a good team. They just can't beat Ohio State. And I don't think, other than Oregon, any of us can walk away and saying, "Yep, I think they can spank them." Georgia, it'll be tough. They just can't beat that one team. Everybody has the kryptonite. And I think James Franklin's kryptonite is any team that's better than him or as good. And you have to go in there and Reed, there's some coaches, and I think all great coaches and all great players all want to be looked at as whenever you go against the best, good on good. What's my win record when it's everything's even and I got to come out here and I got to coach? Mm-hmm. Not when it's my team is better than your team and I can sit over here on the sideline and play thumb wars with somebody. That's what separates Kirby. That's what separated Dabo Swinney for a long period of time, Nick Saban for a good time, because when it was good on good, they were at their best. Mm-hmm. We all can say when Ryan Day or James Franklin, I said it last week, I'm going to say it again, when good on good, they have not seemed to come up on the good side. They just happen to be two of the same, and somebody had to win. And it was Ryan Day. I would argue every single point, and I keep saying it. Will Howard is supposed to be doing what Cam Ward is doing for Miami. Will Howard is supposed to be doing that at Ohio State. And we all looked at the game on Saturday, well, I did, and walked away and like, wow, he just made this as even as possible with the best team on offense and defense.
So let's stay at the top of the Big Ten here for a second. And Kerry, you being a Big Ten guy, I'm really interested on how you feel about Oregon dominating the Big Ten the way that they have as soon as they come into the league and they're the number one team in the country. They had a dominant performance over Michigan. They beat Ohio State earlier. This one is a dominant performance over Michigan. How do you feel about Oregon taking the Big Ten by storm?
I mean, I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. They have always been a good program. They have done, a fantastic job. Dan Lanning has done a great job since he's been there. I honestly thought that going to Michigan, part of me, because I am a Big Tenner, like to my core, I thought Michigan would show up. Now I know Michigan can't do nothing but run the football. Their passing game, they are limited in that area. But part of me felt like there's still a mindset, a style, as I said, when the weather changes, when it gets cold in Michigan and Ohio and Illinois, Iowa, the leaves, as Smoke said, start to fall. I thought Michigan was going to put up a fight. But, man, Oregon got a lot. Oregon is extremely talented on both sides of the ball. They get after the quarterback. They play sound defense. They have explosive playmakers. And if you are an offense that, you got a quarterback in Dylan Gabriel that can get the ball to explosive players. I can get the ball out of my hand quickly and get it to these guys in space. It changes how you play football defensively, because now you're trying to cover every blade of grass and you're unable to. And so I think they do a good job offensively. I got to give a shout out to my guy, Devin Jackson. He is the son of one of my former teammates, and Bobby Jackson. He's created in a lab. He is the fastest linebacker in the country. His daddy played safety for us. His mama ran track at U of I. Like, he is literally created in a lab. This young man can fly and he makes plays. And
Bloodline.
Man, it's in the blood. Like, he ain't got no choice. He was one of the fastest. I think he won state in the 100 and 200 in Nebraska in the state championships. He's one of the fastest linebackers in the country. He gets to the ball carrier with bad intention. So I'm happy that they are representing the Big Ten. Am I shocked? Not really, because I know what they bring and kind of the aura that Oregon has with them. So, but they are kicking butt and taking names, man, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah,
let me ask you this real quick. How much does the loss of Tez Johnson affect the offense at Oregon going down?
So I think he avoided surgery, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were saying they thought he was going to have to have surgery. He's not going to have the surgery. If he's out for an extended period of time, he's one of those explosive playmakers that I'm talking about. But and Smoke and Carl, y'all are more into the depth chart and the roster. Oregon doesn't strike me as a team that is lacking talent on the outside.
They got two more.
Yeah, in the skill position category. So I'm not too concerned with with Johnson being out, if he's out for an extended period of time, we'll see how it goes.
Because Reed, they still got Evan Stewart and they still got Holden. Remember, Holden got kicked out of the Ohio State game for spitting on my guy.
Yeah, I love Evan Stewart. I've been talking about him for a long time. Super talent.
Yeah, he's spitting on Davison, Igmanosin, but I still Morgan has the right mindset, and I keep saying it over. Their coach exudes confidence. And when you look across and your coach believes that and you're prepared to win that game, it's a different era when you go in there, Kerry. And you like, my coach already told me we're going to spank y'all. And he told me that at this point in the third quarter, 3rd down and 3, we're going to line up, we're going to run the ball with this play. And he said we're going to get the first down. I believe it. He believed it, and that's what we're going to do. And I just see that whenever you see Oregon play. I've never seen them lack confidence or anyone looking around like, is there a chance that we might lose?
We're going to talk about this guy later, but when they played Boise, I saw some folks looking around.
Early on the season,
I did see him looking around like,
I get it.
Somebody got to make a play.
And when you have a team of a bunch of transport portal kids, you're going to look around and say, who's the guy right now? But as you get into the season, you recognize who the playmakers are. Kerry, you know it. Reed, you know it. You're looking at the playmakers. All right, cool. Bro, it's your turn when the ball gets thrown to you. You got to make this play. When we're playing against the Buckeyes, we said we're going deep. And that's the type of confidence I'm talking about. We're going deeper. We're going to get this. And those are the things that you find out the more that you play with guys around you.
So let me ask you this. Can Indiana win the Big Ten?
No.
You flat out.
No.
Can Indiana? I mean, Indiana's undefeated. That's probably the biggest, in my opinion, strictly football field, biggest surprise of the season, biggest story so far, because they not just barely getting out of here. They're putting teams in the full Nelson.
They beat
Indiana win the Big Ten.
Just run their schedule off for the next.
Well, no. That's so stop, Smoke. Stop it. You stop it. Because that's what I was about to say. Give me 2 weeks. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks. I think they play Ohio State at Ohio State, November 23rd.
I think that game's at Indiana.
No.
It's on the road.
It's at Ohio State.
It's on the road. Is that Ohio State?
It's at Ohio State.
Listen.
Now let me because I am with you, Smoke. If you look at their schedule, it ain't a lot of daunting names on there that say that put some fear in you. So I am with you, but I will also say you can only play who's on your schedule.
No doubt.
If the schedule makers saw favor for you in the 2024 season where you don't got to play, Oregon and you don't got to play Ohio State to the end of the year, and you can play a Michigan team that has fallen out of the top 25. Hey,
no, listen.
It is what it is.
Time out. You ain't got 2 weeks. You talking about wait 2 weeks.
No. I do need
Indiana win the Big Ten.
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that because of what Smoke said. I won't do what he did, but I'll tell you I can't give you an answer yet until I see them against a team in Ohio State.
This is my problem with the whole league, though, fam. Like all of this, and all due respect, Kerry, not your era, but this era, the little 10, yo. Like every week is versus a non-ranked opponent. It's the little 10. Everybody plays one ranked team. They all literally they had a round robin draw. Okay, Oregon will play Ohio State. Penn State will play. Everybody plays like one, maybe
Illinois done played 5 ranked teams.
You guys got to stop.
Illinois done played 5 of them.
And when you look at the teams at the top of the league, it's not like, say, the SEC where they've all matched each other, played against each other. We've gotten to figure out who can really play. We don't know if these two – how are we in week going number 9 and we're not sure if Indiana – and I like Rourke's done a great job. Kirk's done a great job. We're not sure if these guys can play. What are we talking about?
Don't do that to them. Listen, don't do that.
Hold up. You heard Kerry. No. Kerry said he needed 2 weeks. There's no one in the SEC that we need 2 weeks on. That's all.
That's Kerry, not me. I'm just
talking about Kerry. I'm just talking about Kerry. Kerry said he got to wait 2 weeks. We don't have to wait for anybody in the SEC for 2 weeks. We know what everybody got.
Smoke, can Indiana win the Big Ten, Smoke?
No.
I need to
Why
see
not?
him against Ohio State.
Why can't they win the Big Ten?
They don't have enough horses to run in a real race.
In Oregon.
Listen, everything, Reed, we just talked about it. When the leaves come off the tree, you sit out and then go, and you see that fall come out your breath. That coach on the sideline can't help you anymore.
No.
Right? It's going to be player versus player, and the coach might call one or two plays that's going to get me open, but coach, you don't really got to scheme nothing up. Just let me go out here and cook. I've seen Indiana. I respect what Coach Signetti's doing over there. I think they're playing tough. They're playing outside of their minds. But again, you have to be battle-tested when it comes down to it right now. Ohio State is more battle-tested than Indiana is right now. And when you see guys that are battle-tested and come out on the good side of it, like going up to Oregon and losing because Will couldn't get 5 and slide, going into Happy Valley against 111 and figuring out how to win a tough one, that means a lot, man. Expectation is still coming out. That's a ton. Like Indiana don't know what that feel like yet. That's pressure.
I do want to ask you something real quick, because it does come down to the big boys up front and having those horses. But when you talk about quarterback play, of them 3 teams that you just spoke about, Dillon Gabriel with Oregon, Will Howard with Ohio State, or Rourke with Indiana, which one are you taking out of those 3? Because at some point, like I know, your quarterback gonna have to sit down and stare down the blitz and make a throw and make a play. So
Will's last for me. Will's last for me. Will's last for me.
Will last for you. Okay.
I'm gonna take Dillon Gabriel. He's proven consistently over several schools that he can stand in the pocket. He can go progression from 1 to 2 to 3, from high to low. He can do it against zone. He can do it against man, and he can deliver the ball and make throws. I
see Gabriel different. I feel like if you, this is my opinion, I see him as if you put, and this is what Illinois, we played them a couple of weeks ago. So obviously I was paying attention watching. If you can get him off his spot, if you can make life uncomfortable for him, now I want to see what he's going to do. For me, that's
Call me, please.
How is he going to get? Go ahead, Smoke. Go ahead.
Hey, Kerry, you know what? I hear everybody. That's every quarterback. Every quarterback, if you
not every quarterback. There are some more than others. If you make them have them happy feet in the pocket. Now, Dillon Gabriel's his blessing is they can get the ball out quickly in space to players that can make plays. And that's I'm not saying Smoke. I'm not saying it's an easy job. I'm just telling you how to do the job. Right? Just telling you.
I'm waiting. I think Oklahoma would take Gabriel back right now.
They took all 3 of them. Any of the 3 at this point. Good God.
Reed, the 2 coaches that have fumbled this season without the ball, Brent Venables, Norvell.
Oh
wow!
with hey, Smoke. I do agree with you though. I think Gabriel's 1. I think Rourke is 2. He'll have a chance, obviously, to prove it against Ohio State, at least for a half. Again, I don't think player for player that they can match up for a whole game, especially in the trenches. But I do think they can make it competitive. And then obviously Will, I think, is 3rd. And by competitive, Smoke, I think they can come out. Can they first couple possessions? Can they send the tide, not go down? Ohio State hasn't been dominant where they're coming out 17-0 when you're 24-0 when you're right. So can Indiana come out, throw some punches, keep that thing competitive, and they kind of like the Golden State Warriors used to do, middle of the 3rd quarter, that talent used to take over. So we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, Kerry, the crazy thing is this, and this is what, like, when I look at Ohio State, that they're good, but they're just not that nasty, dominant team that says, we're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
When you saw Georgia go down to Texas, and when they walked on the field, like everybody stood up and said, okay, y'all thought what happened in the 1st quarter in Bama was like exactly who we are. Yeah, today we're going to prove it to you that our quarterback's not going to have to play great, but we're going to take your quarterback out, make sure you put the backup in, and then put your starter back in, and we're going to still pummel their face.
Right.
To me, those are statements that you make going through the season. Oregon did that to Ohio State. Yeah. Ohio State did that to Penn State. Indiana's going to have to show me that in a game. I haven't seen them in a game do that yet. Go ahead.
Give me 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
killing me, bro. You killing me with
Hey,
you
man,
killing
come
me.
on.
Week 11?
I can't make it November 23rd. That's when I can
Killing me with it.
Hey,
you
Smoke, this is my argument, man. No one said Georgia ain't got to say that. Texas ain't got to say that.
No.
Bama, Ole Miss. Like
because of the schedule, though. It's not an indictment on Indiana. This is not an indictment. All they can do is play the people on their schedule. And they have been beating the hell out of the people on their schedule.
Right. You're right.
So let's be honest. Like but if you're talking about the level of competition in comparison to a Georgia or a Texas or an Oregon or some of these other teams,
right.
I can't say for sure that Indiana has it or does not. I can tell you that the teams that they're playing, they're beating the hell out of, and they should. Like, it's not close, and it shouldn't be. So when they play to better competition, when they play Ohio State at Ohio State in that environment, I will be able to tell you, man, that's a real team.
Well, Kerry, we can all tell you who the winner is going to be after the game.
No,
right?
Man, that's not what the question was.
Oh my God! After the game is over,
that ain't the question.
Can we put our parlays in after the game is over? Can we do that?
Can they win the Big Ten?
The Michigan game will tell you a lot this week. If I'm being honest with you.
Michigan game ain't gonna tell you nothing.
Hold on. Listen. Hold on. If they come out, to your point, Smoke, and I know it's not Texas or Georgia. I know it's not that, right? But if they can come out and really put it to Michigan early and establish that they're able to take a team that's actually good, like the other teams on the schedule don't have some of the same talent that Michigan's got, right? I don't think they can beat Ohio State. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of, are they one of the best 15 teams in the country for real, or is this kind of a facade? I think you'll get a little bit better of a picture of that this week. But there's nothing else. To your point, Kerry, ain't nothing else on their schedule they can give us anything.
All I can go off of is what they've done. They were down 10-0 at Michigan State and ran 47 points off. Like, but that's to me, that's telling you something. That's telling me that the teams that they are playing, that they are better than, they're beating the hell out of them.
They're doing what they're supposed to do.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But I can't tell you, because I haven't seen them up against a team, as you said, with the amount of talent that an Ohio State has. So when they go to Ohio State at the end of on the 23rd,
right,
whether or not they can win the Big Ten, I ain't talking about if they win the game. Yeah, obviously, Carl Reed. But the question was, can they win the Big Ten?
But Kerry, when they play against the Buckeyes, there's a few things that just knowing that team and the coach that's the leader of that team, Kirk Cignetti. Not one of them is not going to believe that they can't win. They're all going to believe that they can. And they're going to be physical. They're going to come out. They're going to play their best. But sometimes, when you got long arms and I've got that short arms, you can stick your arm out like this and like, hey, bro, you're not touching me today. Right? And I just think that Ohio State's arms are too long for the short-armed Indiana Hoosiers. That's all.
I had that happen to me. Against Mario Williams. BA say, Bruce Arians, can you block him? Yeah, I can block him. That boy stuck his arms out. I was like this. I can't get him, coach.
Hey, Kerry, listen. So, listen. Reed, can I get 2 seconds to tell him more? Like,
go ahead.
Mario Williams is something that was created in the lab physically.
I believe it.
Okay. My first, 2015-14 in Buffalo, and it was Mario Williams, Kyle Williams, Marcel Darius, Jerry Hughes that are 4 defensive linemen. And the single individual blocking sled, Pepper Johnson is on it. And Mario goes through it, takes one arm, and just takes it and throws it like 10 yards. Boom!
Mm.
And Kerry, we all know we've hit that, and some of us bounce back, some of us boom. I said, okay. Different. Then Kyle Williams is probably the most competitive, undersized, great player ever in NFL history as a defensive lineman. And you can never get Kyle Williams to ever admit that, man, that dude's better than me. So we're sitting there talking personnel. And he said, I knew I was a 5th rounder. And he was first overall pick at the combine. When I looked at him and he just started to move around, I said, yep. I know why I'm going to hit the round.
So, guys, I want to touch on we talking about who can win the Big Ten. But let's talk about, and we talked about Oregon coming in the Big Ten, but I'm going to tell you what's going on at USC.
Ooh.
Smoke, I'm going to start with you on this.
See, here's the thing, Reed. You start with me, but I've told this before, so I'm going to just give you rinse and repeat. I think USC is one of those jobs that if you do it right, you win big. And I think USC is where Texas was a few years ago in terms of understanding that they need to get better players in the trenches. Because you have a defensive coordinator in D-Lin that I think is one of the brighter minds. You have an offensive coordinator that's one of the brighter minds. But you still have to win in the trenches. And when you're winning in the trenches, I don't think you do that through the portal. I think you have to be homegrown, developed, and go get. But USC, you can go get them. They just don't have enough horses, big horses, stallions, to run in the Kentucky Derby. And that's what's going on out there. Because when you can stop people in times, but when it comes down to it, like Kerry just said, this is a battle of attrition. Your team is beaten up. But big guys, when they get tired, they're still big.
Mm-hmm.
Their big guys aren't big enough. Their defensive lineman's not good enough. Their offensive lineman's not good enough. And that's what they're struggling in these late games. That's what happens when you lose games like this.
Kerry, what do you why do you think USC has struggled so far coming into the Big Ten? Different than maybe Oregon.
I think I would actually, I mean, obviously the upfront is going to be your main thing. And my question would be is what does the recruiting look like? Like, I'm not a person, for me, as you said, USC was always, if you get they got guys out there. They got guys on the West Coast. You don't have to be traveling down to Florida or to Texas or to other regions of the country. You got all you need out there on the West Coast. So are you locking down your city, your state? Are you locking down those guys? And for me, it feels like the tradition of USC has kind of taken a step back, and you have to adjust. You have to adapt with the times. Like Penn State will probably be on that same wavelength. Like the times have changed. Like they don't have names on their jerseys. That's because you don't have to. Because you know who you are when you go to certain programs. And there's a mystique about that. So for me, it feels like maybe USC is maybe not leaning into that part of who they are or who they were and kind of getting away from that and not really going after the players in their area. I felt like with Caleb Williams being there, last year, I thought that would regenerate and have more success. But when you're not having the success and you're not getting them guys up front and in the skill, USC, and y'all can correct me if you think I'm wrong on this. The skill guys that Oregon has is what USC used to have. Like they used to be all over the place, running back, receiver, tight end, elite players. And now it's not the same there right now, in my opinion. So for me, it all starts with recruiting up front and locking down your people in your area. I don't know that I'm not a fan of living in the transfer portal. It's a hired mercenary. Mm-hmm. Like it's good for a couple of positions, but if you're living in the transfer portal for your roster, eventually it's going to kill you. And I think some of these programs are suffering from that.
Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on in the Big Ten, and then we're going to get into some SEC talk, is when Nebraska beat Colorado early in the season.
Beat them up. When they beat them up.
They roughed them up.
Beat them up.
I had all – so, Smoke, you don't know this. It's a ton of dudes from St. Louis who played at Nebraska. Ton of them, right? And so, I mean, they were all on my phone. But I haven't heard from them lately, right? So, Deshaun Foster, a friend of ours, Smoke at UCLA.
Smoke, the real Smoke.
Real Smoke. Big win over Nebraska, right? I figured that Nebraska would hit some bumps in the road because they starting a freshman at quarterback. And no matter how talented you are, it's still tough to play quarterback at a high level week after week and be a young guy, especially when you don't have elite skill on the perimeter. You got some solid players, but not necessarily game breakers. Right. What do you think is going on in Nebraska, and what do they need to do to get their footing back?
Well, Reed, I think what Nebraska is doing is what a lot of bad teams are doing, is playing a young quarterback that's not ready to play winning football. He's not playing winning football right now. He's doing a lot of the things that trying to resemble what Patrick Mahomes does, or a lot of the elite passers in the NFL is doing, those fadeaway throws, and just not playing disciplined and fundamentally sound football. And they're allowing that to happen at a high clip, and they're suffering the repercussions of their actions. Turning the ball over, bad offense, and they're living with it. Right? At some point, as a coach, you got to find ways to get W so you don't lose the morale of your team. And that's what you're seeing at Nebraska right now. Early, it was like a shot of Red Bull, and you're one of the guys that's always steadied the course on Raiola, of saying that good player, but he needs to sit down and learn how to be a true quarterback and learn how to play the game from the pocket and just learn how to play it the right way. And when you anoint young guys, especially true freshmen, to come in and still expose their bad habits, and you win a game against Shedeur Sanders and Colorado, and that happens, and now you start believing in some of the things that you're doing, and you're not being corrected. So if those bad habits starts becoming who you are as you go down the line and you play against other teams that can take advantage of that, then that starts showing up down the line. But that's all I've seen on all 22 tape of Nebraska. On offense, their quarterback's hurting.
Clay, when you think about the University of Nebraska, when we grew up on Nebraska football, an elite team, can they get back to the point where we're talking about them the way we're talking about Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon? Can they ever get back into that conversation, Clay?
I think that's tough, man. The game has changed, right? Not to say it can't happen, but, man, the game has changed. The marketing's changed. The branding has changed. The TV contracts have changed. Tom Osborne was that guy, right? Tommy Frazier. I remember Wale rapping about Tommy Frazier, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's just a different Nebraska. They had the mantle, and I think sometimes when you lose it, it's hard to get it back. And ironically, they play Southern Cal this weekend, in a matchup of two teams that don't have signature. You see what I keep going back to, fellas. Who has the night one, night two guys? Oregon got them, right? Whether Gabriel is or not, it's a different conversation. But Stewart, and they got dudes that can play, man, out the roster. Ohio State got dudes that are going to be night one, night two guys. Georgia, night one, night two guys. Alabama, Texas. All these people that are winning games at a really high clip, which makes for BYU or Indiana's doing really impressive because they don't have that same type of talent, right? They're the best of the next group, but they're just finding ways to get stuff done. But right now, Nebraska's got a long way to go, and it starts, I think, with getting. You're not going to immediately get night one guys, but can you find a couple of night two guys to slide in, and then can you litter your roster with day three guys where you're going and you're not losing to UCLA, right? You're not losing to USC. You're not losing to teams in the middle of the league right now. Illinois has done a great job of that, right? Illinois got a roster full of guys that have a chance to play professional football, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be night one, night two, but they're good. They've done a good job.
They got a few that are going. They got more than a few that's going to play on Sunday.
Absolutely, and Nebraska's not there.
5th, 6th, 7th round undrafted free agents. They got any night one guys at this moment, but they got more than a fair share. They got a handful of 3rd, 4th, 5th round, 6th round type of guys.
Which is right. Which is why they're where they are, and it's right on the periphery of being top 25. Which means on any given week they can go in and compete. They can win. Michigan's the same this year, right? Nebraska's just not there yet. They've done a good job now. Obviously, their program was left for dead a couple of years ago in the transition. I think they've done a decent job, but just getting back to competing and playing competitive football, right? They're not 1-9, and it's like, oh man, you got to fire somebody else. But can they go and get some more talent, add to it? And to Smoke's point, as someone who watched Dylan down the street at Buford, last year, he gonna make some errant throws. He gonna put that thing in the stands a couple times. And I think when you're trying to build around a guy like that, you got to be willing to live with that. You got to teach off the film, and then you got to go get him a couple guys that can play a little bit to make it a little bit harder. A little bit easier. Excuse me.
I think what Clay said is so important, and that's so important to remember. Like when you got them guys that's gonna be drafted on the first night, life a little easier for you. Like when you got them guys going to shake the commissioner hands and they got their ice on and they dress nicely, your life is a little bit easier because it's about them guys that can make plays.
Yep.
And so if you got 2 or 3 of them and the other team don't mean you can't win, but it helps in making life a lot easier for the quarterback, for the defensive coordinator, for the offensive coordinator, for the head coach. Everybody sleeps a little bit better when you got a couple of them guys on your roster.
Reed,
go ahead, Smoke. Go ahead, Smoke.
Reed, you know what? Something just jumped in my soul and said something. All right. Like, when we look at Alabama, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, they're the last of the recruiting wave schools that's already stockpiled talent for this run right now in this era that we're in. There needs to be a school, and I haven't seen one, that starts building, because college football is semi-pro football right now. So it's less to do with recruiting, more to do with transaction and building your team. So therefore, you have to figure out who you want to be. Nebraska, you can't get in the conversation and want to stockpile talent like Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon, because financially and where you're at right now, you don't have that. So you have to start looking at and saying, okay, how can we structurally get this to in 2 or 3 years, Kerry, where we have it and it's a solid foundation, and all we need to do is add 1 or 2 more pieces out of this portal in order to get us now into the conversation of being where Indiana is right now, of battling, and we're having that conversation of saying, can they? Because just throwing out dice out there and saying that we're gonna crap out in the portal, it's tough. And again, building is a whole nother level. And that's why we're seeing the same teams win consistently in and out right now in the era of stockpiling talents. But in a couple of years, this thing's going to flip. And whoever gets to the understanding that you have to build your team from recruiting and adding supplementing pieces through the transfer portal and also investing in evaluation, not recruiting, I think that's when you're going to see these teams start stockpiling talent at a higher clip than they are right now.
So I want to transition into the SEC for a second. Vanderbilt, and that's a team that we didn't think we would be talking about a lot this season, right? Maybe Smoke did. Smoke's a former Vandy staffer, right? And so I see Smoke rocking in this chair over there. Vandy gets another win. They're bowl eligible now. They knock Auburn, right? So we've talked about them. They shocked Alabama, which crushed you a little bit, right? They just beat Auburn, right? Smoke, what's going on at Vandy? Why are they giving the SEC so many problems right now?
Well, you have a guy that's been there in Clark Lee, and he's a Vanderbilt guy. And we had on the show earlier, Reed, and we sat down, and I remember you and I, after the conversation, I know Clark, and I believe that was your first time like visiting with Clark. And we both walked away, and you said, wow, because he has the vision for what he wants Vanderbilt to look like. And he struggled early, not understanding what it was going to take for Vanderbilt to win. And he said it to us. We have to play an unorthodox style of football on offense and defense because we truly don't have the horses to run this race of the SEC. And what they're doing, they're just playing unorthodox offense. They're throwing in some wing tee in there, some option concepts in there, some West Coast passing concepts in there, and they have a veteran quarterback that's played so much football that he creates issues for everybody, just playing off script. And there's a lot of teams, and we said it, these young coordinators aren't prepared to go in there and play and coach fundamental football and be ready for that run scheme and that pass game that comes with that takes disciplined eyes and disciplined coaching. They're just making everybody else play out of whack, and they're giving themselves a chance to win ugly games. And there aren't any ugly wins, but there are ugly games. And they just continue to come out on top with W's. But it's unorthodox football.
Brandon, does does what Vanderbilt is what they're doing, is that a blueprint that other schools could use in this transfer portal era to have a program that can consistently beat teams that are more talented than them?
Absolutely. And I think to the Nebraska discussion, right? Like that's what they've done in Nashville is exactly what they are trying to do out in Nebraska right now. In terms of just having, we need to stockpile a roster full of guys who can play football. They're good enough to compete at this level. They might not be Malachi Starks, KJ Bolden. We're not getting those guys. Who's the next guy right beneath them that can come in, have that kind of impact, but's going to play for us and is going to play major snaps early, right? And give us a chance on any given Saturday to beat an Alabama, to almost beat Texas. Let's not forget that, right? And Smoke, to your point, what I love that Vanderbilt's done when you sit and watch them play, they muddy up every game. Every game looks a little junky. Even the win last week over Auburn, it's funny because you beat Alabama by 4, you lose to Texas by 3, you figure they'll beat Alabama by 40, or Auburn, by 40, but they don't have that kind of roster, right? Every game going to be muddy. They just got to keep finding, even the games that they're favored in are still going to be muddy. And so I think putting together a roster where you're 70 kids deep of guys that can go in, give you snaps, give you depth, you're too deep at the chart, up and down both sides, and now all of a sudden you look up and at any given moment, it doesn't really matter who you got out there outside of Diego. Everybody else is a little bit interchangeable on a given snap. And when you do that, you apply some pressure to people. You apply pressure to the Smoke said to coordinators. You apply pressure to teams. When it gets a little muddy, they start yelling at each other, barking at each other on the sideline. And next thing you know it, they're in a dogfight they weren't prepared for. I know Kerry got some feedback and some stories during his day when you're in the middle of that thing and everybody chirping on the sideline. I saw it with Dallas on Sunday against Atlanta. They were literally chirping amongst each other. And once you get somebody that frustrated, Reed, now the lack of talent starts to even out and you're giving yourself a chance to win. And I think that the Nebraskas of the world, Illinois is obviously a little bit better now than Vanderbilt talent-wise. But that's how they have their resurgence. You got to stack your roster with league-level depth and give yourself a chance to compete every Saturday. And then you can start to go get the Weatherspoons of the world, guys like that, because they see a product when they come on Saturday to watch those games that they can take some pride in.
Right. Let me ask you guys this, because this is something that we argue about in our group chat every week throughout the week as we transition into deeper and deeper into the NIL level. When you watch Cam Ward play for the University of Miami,
get him Smoke.
I'm about to go. I'm about to
get him Smoke.
Is a great player in this era more valuable than the coach in terms of the wins and the losses? Smoke, should a player in college potentially be making more money than the coach? Let me ask you, Smoke.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to say that and let Kerry defend himself.
Okay. So I have thought about this for some time.
Really? Oh, welcome.
If that player can call the game and run the game plan himself without the assistance, because I do know a few. I played with one, number 18 in Indianapolis. He could call the game himself. He didn't need no help. Not that he didn't, not that Coach Dungy and those guys didn't matter, because they did. But he could have called the offense himself. Mm-hmm. If my quarterback can do that, yeah, he can get paid more than the coach. If he now, my question to you, if the talent that he has is not matched with the football IQ that I need from him, then no. Because I have a talented player who is going to be meandering in the woods without somebody guiding him, without somebody telling him what to do or what play to call or when to call it or how to break down defenses and know where not to throw the ball, when to check out of this pass and run the ball because it's a light box. If that player can do all of those things without the head coach or without an offensive coordinator with support, then yes, I'm all for it. Now, that because what you're basically telling me is I'm gonna take these training wheels off and see if he can ride this bike. If he can ride the bike, then hell yeah, do your thing.
Amen.
But if I got to be there and run with you, because I got children, I didn't have to run beside them to make sure that they ain't fall over, then no, I can't pay you more. And I smoke, I know you know what I'm talking about. No.
Hey, Kerry, can I ask you a question?
You
You've been around a lot of football, more than a lot of people. Let's go back to last year and look at Miami's team. And Carl, you can pull up all the stats that you want to. Right? We know there's several games that we saw the training with the guy that I'm not gonna call the name is the one that puts the training wheels on. Fumbled this close games right down the line. They lost some games because of said coach. And I've seen this year a guy throw for 5 touchdowns, an interception, 500 yards, a 400 yard last week, and is probably going to win the Heisman this year. And a lot of things haven't changed in terms of players around him. So if you removed set head coach and left that one guy there with, I didn't say nothing about the coordinators. I ain't say nothing about the coaches. I said head coach. Remove the $10 million from that guy, and you give him the 1 and you give him the 10. Who's earned the 10 this year? I'm going to say number 1 on Miami's earned the 10. The head coach has earned the 1. That's all. You take away the head coach and say, hey, you're suspended for the rest of the season. They still win games. You remove Cam Ward from that team, I know what they look like.
I hear you. Can that player get us in and out of the huddle in a timely fashion?
Yeah.
I'm asking.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Can he call the game himself? No down and distance. Be aware of situational football. I'm not questioning his intelligence. I'm telling you the benefit of having a coach in that regard is part of that.
I said head coach. I said head coach. I ain't say coordinator. I said head coach.
Okay. Head coach.
Head coach. I ain't put no other coach in. I said head coach.
In Smoke's defense too, I don't think that he's saying that you don't need the coach.
No, I never said that. I just said
saying that the player is worth more money in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's saying you go out there without a coach.
Okay.
No.
Hey, here's I think the cool Smoke. I agree with you for the record, right? Like I think we're on the same
man.
page.
Well, hey, listen, man. Hats off to you, man. Respect.
No doubt, man. If I have one, I tip it to you.
Respect.
Give me your take. Who were the 5 players in college football that you would do? Cam Ward obviously is the exercise number 1. Do you have? I mean, it doesn't have to be 4 more, but do you have 4 more that you go? This guy, I would switch with the head coach's contract. Talk to me.
Cam Newton's my number 1 overall. Cam Ward this year. Charlie Ward when he was at Florida State.
Oh, man.
I don't think there's many more that you can like.
3 people in the history of football, in your opinion.
Yeah, and again, when I started this exercise, I never said there's a lot. Yeah. I said there's instances. If there's instances of that you can do. I'm not saying this is an every year deal, but this is a once in a blue moon opportunity. I think you do that.
So let's go to this next level, because we talked about this team earlier. The University of Michigan, we're talking about their inability to pass. There's reports starting to surface that they're offering Bryce Underwood, the number 1 player in the state of Michigan for sure, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country, that's committed to LSU from Detroit, Michigan, $5 million in NIL money to come play quarterback.
Don't breathe that hard, brother.
You know,
3 1/3. Reed, stand up with your people.
We ain't seen him play yet.
Stand up with your people. Here's what I'm gonna tell you, Reed. All right. You know I ain't big on paying for what I don't know, and again, the NFL figured this thing out. You remember when they flipped that CBA on us?
Oh yeah,
they got it right.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that this young guy at some point is not going to be worth that. But when you do that, Reed, yeah, you have to make him the backup. As soon as he signs that NIL, he's now the backup quarterback.
He got to be the starter. You can't pay him.
No.
Like,
Just hear me out. Just hear me out. You can't make him the starter because he's not there on campus yet. And you can't make him the starter day one, but he is the backup day one. And now you have to split reps and figure this thing out because your whole locker room is going to be upside down when that guy's earning more money than 4 or 5 guys on the team. And he's not doing anything.
If I pay you $5 million, it's figured out. He's the starter. That's why you pay him the $5 million. You've seen Michigan's passing game this year. You're paying him $5 million.
Hey, Reed.
No need in the charade. It's figured out. He's
hey, Reed, hit the pause button on. You know there's not a bigger Bryce Underwood fan in America than Smoke Dixon.
I do know that.
You know that I'm very close to that situation. So don't do that. But the only way so don't do that. So we gotta play it fair and understand that there's an expectation, but there's a reality that you have to set with your team. Kerry, when you were in the league and when you got there, they didn't flip the CBA yet, but when you had that veteran quarterback and they took that first overall QB or that QB was in there and you knew that rookie was making more than the starter was, it never sat well in the locker room.
Nah.
Never sat well in the locker room.
Yeah.
And unless that guy came in and day one, you're like, oh, yeah, I know why they gave him all that bread. Then you could justify that. But if he comes in and he's not day one better than whoever's there, and Reed, listen, put it all in the bag. Day one, he's as good, if not better than any other quarterback if he goes to Michigan. But if he goes down to LSU and Garrett Nussmeier stays one more year, I can't say he plays in front of Garrett Nussmeier day one.
Let me tell you this, bro.
Go ahead, you tell me because I'm listening.
You give somebody $5 million, they got to come in day one start
and be the starter.
They want every other quarterback getting a transfer portal. Right,
and that's why college football is what it is, and that's why everyone that says they're evaluators and managers and whatever they want to call themselves got this thing all wrong. If you haven't looked at the Indianapolis Colts, and understand that you got to have a plan when you get these young talented guys when they come in. You're setting these people up for like failure. He's going to struggle when he gets to college and he plays day one, and he's going to look bad. He's going to. There's a point that he's going to look like that. Every young player looks like that at some point.
Yeah.
Don't care if you Cam, Vince, or whoever. If you're going to give him that $5 million, Reed, I hear what you're saying. This is a long-term investment. And when you make that long-term investment, you better have a good plan to go with it. So you can't just be shooting off the hip. Yeah, we're going to give you $5 million. Okay, so what about the rest of them? Like, what are you going to do with your team? You still have a team of young, immature guys that don't know how to handle it at all. So what do you do in the locker room, and the locker room flips upside down? I can tell you one. Look down at Florida State. They're 1-8. What you got for me?
Whatever I do with them, I got to figure it out. But if I give you $5 million, get ready to put your hands under the center's butt, Smoke, because you're going in. You're going in the game. You're going.
I'm not, Reed, listen. You're saying it loud and you're saying it with confidence. But you still have to go in with a plan. What is your plan?
He told you his plan. He started.
Hey, Kerry, you know, Reed is the type of dude that want to go to war and just get a bunch of hand grenades, throw it, and just run. And he's around it. You're like, but Reed, you just started a whole war, and we don't got a way to get in or get out of this thing. We just gonna fire them all up.
Smoke, when my brother was a freshman in college, I told his coach, I said, Coach, if he ain't starting, he departing. And if he ain't playing, he ain't staying. I'm telling you. I give you $5 million. You got to put him out there, man.
Reed, bro. I think you're mistakenly what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that you can't put him out there. But when you put him out there and the first game of the season is against Oregon, and he goes out there and throws 4 interceptions, and you lose by 20, and everybody in the chat and crushing him. What you got?
When they crushing them. They
Yeah.
crushing us now. What do you mean? If you put Michigan in on social media, they're crushing us now, bro. What are you talking about?
The work part is y'all are both right. Smoke, I feel you, man.
Y'all both right.
Reed ain't coming off this.
Reed don't care about what the after effects are. He's playing. If we go 0-10, he's playing, and we'll figure it out along.
And again, like I said, I get it. I understand it. I understand the reason why everything is playing out how it's playing out. But with all that said, you have to have an organizational intervention and a plan of what's going to happen. You can't go in there as the head coach and say, hey, he got $5 million, he's starting day one, and when he comes in, okay, what's the plan?
Smoke, I bought my son a bike once, and then I came home in the neighborhood and he was walking down the street. Now you tell me what sense that made. Right? Do you know how upset I was?
That your son can figure. You never talk. Can he ride the bike up a hill?
Yeah, he can ride a bike.
Okay, so what happened? His bike got taken from him?
No, nobody gonna take his bike from him.
But you got to play the scenario out other than just saying he's walking home.
Smoke. All I'm saying is
ride the bike that he paid the money for. Basically, he's saying, "I spent my money. You should be riding that bike."
Smoke knows exactly what I mean.
Supposed to be playing.
Smoke knows exactly what I mean.
Listen. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, Reed. What is your plan to get this young man up to speed for you to compete for a national championship?
Well, if I give him $5 million, my plan is probably to start teaching him the plays right now because he's going to start.
Okay.
Right? We're going to probably start. He's down the street from me. He lives probably 50 miles from campus.
Man, listen,
I'm probably going to send Connor Stallions over there to start teaching him the offense.
Man, he got one of the best young quarterback minds, Donovan Dooley, in the world. That's Dooley's baby. It's one of your cousins, both y'all from the 3-1-3. Dooley has schooled him up right. He's done everything right. He's a young prodigy. I get that. But you also got to have a plan when you go in there with expectation. $5 million. This is going to be the most anyone's ever bagged, Reed. In this, like at home. With the understanding that in 2 years, you got to bring home a natty.
All right. Yeah.
So if that doesn't happen, you're going to lose him. And you don't necessarily have to lose that talent if you have a plan of protecting him and ushering him on the way in. I'm not saying that he's not starting by game 3 or not playing game 1, splitting half and half, but to just go out there in the big house and roll out and say, hey, dog, we just won the national championship 2 years ago. Yes, all on your back. And guess what? The city's on your back too. Go get it.
Hey, let me tell you something, bro. Last year when Colorado was losing, everybody in the country was beating up Shador, Travis, Coach Prime. It comes with it. When you want the $5 million, then the criticism comes with it.
I agree. How old was Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders last year?
Oh, they were 20, 21, somewhere in there.
Okay. How many years of college football has both of them played?
Smoke, listen.
That's all I'm saying. I get it, but
it's not an elementary class. Michigan is one of the worst passing teams in the country.
Yep.
The number one quarterback in the country lives an hour from campus.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to give him $5 million to come.
Yep.
Once they make that deal, if that deal happens,
yep,
he is the starting quarterback at the University of Michigan.
So, Reed, let's flip this back 20 minutes ago. And let's flip our conversation a year ago when we were talking about Raiola.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you just roll him out there right now and say, yep, you're the starter?
Raiola?
Through what you're going through right now, are you happy with that? If you had a guy that can get you through and not have him get crushed?
Well, number one,
mentally?
you comparing apples and oranges. Nebraska's program is in a different place than the defending national champion Michigan was and how far they've dropped. That's number one.
Yeah.
Right? Number two, I don't think Raiola got $5 million.
Irregardless of what he got enough. Take the money out of it. That much money, take it out of it. He got more than the starting quarterback of the year before and anybody else on that team. Let's go with that.
Kerry Davis and Brandon Clay. this boy get $5 million he started, right? And nobody gonna bother him. You want to know why? Because Big Meech is home.
I hear you.
Oh man,
Reed, you ain't gonna find a bigger Bryce Underwood fan than I am. I was showing you what clips when he was hooping. That's my dude.
So let's go here. Let's go from this conversation. Before NIL and transfer portal, Smoke, how did you build your team? And can a team still be built that way with the same principles and ideologies?
I think you still have to build your team from the high school level on out. And it's now more apparent that you have to have true personnel, guys in your building, evaluating the right talent. Because what you just said, you don't want to play around with dead money. And Kerry, you understand dead money. I always understand dead money of giving a bunch of cash to an unproven talent that gives you zero production. And now you've lost your locker room, you've lost structure and understanding of what your team is supposed to look like. So my question to you, and I posed it, before NIL, we were like college football was just fine. Teams were being built the proper way. Guys are still transferring and getting into schools, and teams were just solid. And the good ones stayed good. The bad ones, every now and then you showed your head and you came up, and everybody in the middle stayed the same. So with all that, it's still the same, Reed. You still got the top 5 schools. The middle of the pack is still the middle of the pack. And every now and then Indiana push their head up. They'll be back down where they're supposed to be next year.
Well, you know what everybody's going to say about you. You're a Bama guy. So, of course, you liked it the old way because Alabama won every year, it seemed like. You mean to tell me right now with a 12-team playoff, with as many upsets as we've had, and we're talking about teams like Indiana. We're talking about teams like Vanderbilt. We're talking about teams like SMU that's been having an impressive season. We're talking about the Colorado Buffaloes. You don't think that that's more exciting? Brandon, what about you? Do you think that what we're doing right now is more exciting for college football overall in the product as opposed to the old way where it might have been 3 to 5 teams that had a chance to win?
Well, absolutely. And I think long-term for the sport itself, right? And I say casual fans simply like the Colorado fans have been disengaged for 30 years, right? So it's nice to have them back. SMU fans have been disengaged maybe longer than that. It's been a
Pony Express.
Time. Yeah, it's been a long time, man. So you're getting Indiana fans have never really been engaged, right? Antoine Randall L, Lee Corso. You got to go back a long way to get them folks, man. So it's cool to have bases coming back, and I think this is where the 12-team CFP comes in. Boise State fans are super engaged. They have an actual shot to play. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but they have an actual shot to play in the CFP, right? Notre Dame fans, right, have been trying to engage but can't engage, but can finally engage. Like you have a larger engagement as the air starts to get cold, the leaves start to fall. You're not done. You're able to still play in meaningful games throughout the month of November because there are 12 spots available. And your blue bloods know unless Georgia just throws this thing away the next 4 weeks, they're going to be in. You can count on them. Texas now, that fan base is re-engaged. Viz Young, it's been a while, man. So I think it's a good place for the sport itself, right? Colorado has been since the days of Cordell Stewart and Westbrook. It's been a long time for some of these programs. So it's nice to have that kind of, rebirth. And you don't get that if you don't have 12 teams in the playoff because those teams, Colorado's still out. Like they're bowl eligible, but there's no chance that they make the playoff, right? In the old format of 4 teams or heaven forbid back to the 2 New Year's Day championship game. It don't matter. They're already done. So there's so many people that are still engaged. I think it's a great thing for the sport. BYU, same thing with Steve Young and them. It's been a long time. Welcome home, everybody.
Kerry, how do you feel right now about the college football product?
I love it. I think there's parity among Smoke shaking his head. He don't. You know what, Reed? You say some things sometimes and you're right. Smoke might not like it because Bama was so dominant over years, and they just ran away. They stacked stockpile 4- and 5-star guys that didn't even play till they was in their 3rd year, and now they getting the hell up out of there and they
build your team the right way.
Right away. Yeah, I get it. I think it's wonderful, man. I think Clay hit it on the head, man. You got so many teams that are still engaged in having an opportunity to make this 12-team playoff. They're still playing for something. They're still working their butt off. They still know that there's an opportunity to potentially win a national championship. Not just make the league. It's hilarious. Not just make the playoffs, but in their mind win a championship. And on any given Saturday, any given Sunday, anything is possible. So I think it's allowed for more parity in college football. You have more players spread across the country for more teams to partake in and be a part of. And those guys not just sitting on the bench at Bama where they got 6 first-round draft picks in the damn running back room. And all 6 of them guys got to figure out how they're going to play.
Build it.
Now, them 6 guys, 4 of them are on other rosters, right?
Build
and
it.
they're getting an opportunity to play. So I think it's been outstanding, man. And to build the roster, like you were asking earlier, I think it does come through the high school ranks. Like I said earlier, when you're going strictly transfer portal, a lot of them kids are mercenaries, man. They there for a paycheck, and they know that they're worth it. And I'm not saying that go get your money. If you're worth it, go get it. But when you're building a roster, I think if you're building that roster through the high school, through high school recruiting and going that route and teaching those young people how to play in the system that you have and what you do well, I think eventually it all works out for you in the long run.
Listen to this. We keep talking about building a program through high school players. We have a program, Clemson, that's exclusively doing that.
Yeah.
They're no longer competing at a national championship level. They do still have a very good program, but it's not a national championship level. So is there a medium? Can you win a national championship now without going and adding the big guns from the portal?
Reed, to answer your question, yes, you can. And again, when you're recruiting or roster building are 2 completely different conversations that we're in. Mm-hmm. Recruiting is having a party, sending out graphics, and hoping that the kid shows up to your school. When you're evaluating the right talent, everybody's not going to have the same board as you are. Right? So you're evaluating yours for who you are and how you can develop it and how it works for you. So if you go through and you stockpile your talent of 5 guys in your room, because of those your 5 guys and you evaluate a high clip and all those guys are first rounders, yeah, you're doing your job. But what the game is showing everybody is that coaches used to recruit. The game is a semi-pro game where you have to go out and get real good talent, not the ones that are rated the highest. Evaluate the right talent. So if you only have $20 million and you choose to spend 5 on your quarterback and you only have 15 more, you still got to finish out 84 other guys on scholarship to get your team right. So how are you doing that? That ain't through recruiting. That's through roster construction. And with everybody saying on this right now, saying that they love this formula, if I asked everyone, who do you have winning the national championship this year, Kerry? Who you got?
I'm probably going to say Oregon or Ohio State.
Just give me one.
Oregon.
Got it. What you got there, B. Clay?
Georgia.
Right. C. Reed, what you got?
I'm going to go with Oregon.
Right. So if this was 4 years ago, it would have been the same thing. So nobody's saying any of those one-off teams are going to have a chance to get in.
I will say this because I watched it earlier this season.
Go ahead.
Boise State. I would love to. You can frown your face up all you want to.
I'm not frowning.
I watched them take Oregon at Oregon to the final drive, to the last 5 minutes of that game, where Boise State had a chance. Ashton Genty had damn near 200 yards rushing against an Oregon team that 2 of us have said, and I think you would say as well, Smoke, are the eventual national champions. Yep. So all I'm saying is what this 12-team playoff has done is given a team like that. And I know we've seen it in the past. We've seen the Cincinnatis. They didn't deserve to be there. It wasn't their fault. They didn't deserve it. We saw
TCU
a couple years ago. But they beat a Michigan team. They beat the hell out of Michigan. But they didn't. They looked like they didn't belong at that party. They looked like they got the wrong address.
And Kerry, they belong. We were glad to have them.
They looked like they didn't belong.
So with that said, like, we all kill these young people for their lack of commitment and their lack of ability to compete. So when you start throwing NIL and the transfer portal, yeah, we are asking those young people not to compete. Just because if you're sitting behind 3 guys that are better than you, yeah, come on over here and you don't have to sit down there any longer. Well, we fussing those young people for doing that.
I think there's a fine line. I think there's a fine line because there's a line where I'm leaving because I don't want to compete,
right? Or
I'm leaving because there is no real opportunity here. And those are 2 different players. Like the players that don't want to compete, the ones that don't want to compete, it's obvious because competition is going to be no matter where you go. If you have aspirations of playing at the next level, there is no transfer portal. It's called the draft. It's called free agency. It's called the trade deadline. It's always somebody looking to take your place. So
I would say that if I establish my roster and I'm stacked and I'm 3 or 4 deep at every position because I've done a really good job evaluating it, and you suck at evaluating yours, and all you do is come and pluck mine off, like what job are you doing other than evaluating mine?
Winning.
We trying to find
winning if I can take him and beat you with it. B, what's your thoughts on this, on the roster construction and what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, obviously, with all of y'all. I think you make a good point. Smoke, I can't think of 5 rosters, and you might know, I can't think of 5 rosters, dating back the last 10, 15 years that have been that deep where people have been able to just go pluck them. Like Jalen Hurts, I think, too, was a great example where it was, hey, man, look, he got it. Cool. I need to go play so I can try to be a pro. And it's worked out for both of them. I know 2 suffered from the concussions, but both of them have been good pros, right? They got to play in college. Hurts got to play that final year, not get stuck sitting behind the guy who would won and earn the job. Respect, right? So to Kerry's point about the fine line, I think that's a perfect example. One guy, I mean, Hurts has made 9 figures because he went to Oklahoma and played and continued to advance his career.
Matt Jones is number 3.
Okay. To that point, you know what I mean? Like, I think just being able to figure out how can I get on the field. And obviously Mac, was able to play, have a good year, and then be able to make some money. Georgia this past year brought Vanderbilt starting quarterback in Kentucky, not because he was running away from anything, but because Carson had won the job. Carson was going to be the starter. Brock's now starting in the same league in the SEC, for better or for worse, but he's led Kentucky to some good wins. Heck, they almost beat Georgia. 1 point.
Another one that you
come on. Baker Mayfield, right? I think so. I think to the point of the line, there's especially at that position where there's only one that can play, right? Running back, wide receiver gets a little different because the multiple guys can play at once. But quarterback is the position that jumps out at me. Dylan Gabriel, right? You outcast him. We ain't got no room in the end for you. And he goes at Oregon. You say what you want about Oregon, but without Dylan Gabriel, right? Evan Stewart from A&M. I know he came from A&M, right? Without those guys, to me, they're not in this position currently. So I think that there's kind of a good middle ground where if I was looking at, say I had room to bring in 25 to 28 annually on the construction, I want to take 18 to 20 high school guys, and then I want to go focus on 7 to 10 college guys, man, that I can get out the portal to help us fill needs and kind of be able to go from there. And I think when you look at the rosters across the board, especially the teams that are winning at a high level, they've done that. Reed, what you got for us? What do you think, man?
I think that you gotta, when you're trying to compete, it's levels to it. Are you trying to win a national championship or are you trying to get to a bowl game? Mm-hmm. If you're trying to win a national championship, you got to go get the best player that you can get at every single position, no matter whether he's a high school player or a college player. If you can get Jordan Seaton to play left tackle, you go get him. If you can get Nico to come out of high school and play quarterback for you, then man, you just go get him. But if it's gonna take a Jalen Hurts as a transfer, if it's gonna take a Shedeur Sanders or a Travis Hunter as transfers, then you do it. I don't think that when you're competing at a national championship level, you can really get too particular about where the kid is coming from. As long as he's the right cultural fit and you've done your homework in terms of, because if he's a transfer, you should be, from a transfer standpoint, looking at that situation saying that I already know this kid because I recruited him anyway. So if I've already had some type of relationship with him to where I recruited him anyway, I should already know who the kid is. I should already know who his background is, because when he was coming out of high school, I probably already tried to get him if I'm coming at him from a national championship level. Now, when you're talking about winning bowl games, when you're talking about a team that's trying to stay in the 6 to 8 wins region, I think you can do that with majority high school kids and building and developing. Where it becomes extremely difficult for you is when every time you develop guys, other guys are coming. Every time you develop some guys, somebody's going to pay more money. Somebody's going to have a bigger financial package. No matter what the situation is, people are going to come after your kids, Smoke. So I think it's extremely hard to say, I got this set of high school guys, I got this set of college guys. I want to stay in this number. I want to stay in this percentage of kind of where we're at. I think that that's really tough to do from a preconceived notion.
I don't think it's tough. I think, like you just said, if you know who you are as a university, if your max is an 8 or 9 win clip, you're gonna have to live with 8 or 9. You see what I'm saying, Reed? So building it the proper way, you know how to. And if you're building a sustainable model over a period of time, you got to know how to do that too. I'm not going to give away the secret recipe to everything. But when you look at teams out there that year in and year out, moving forward in this new era of roster construction, you're going to see that the same teams that are able to do what they do of high school, develop, and development standpoint is very short. Development just means play nowadays, Reed. Right? That's all development. That don't mean 3 years get big, stronger, faster, because they'll be gone before you know it. And this supplementary team with the right transfer portal player that can come in and help you out through proper investigation and background and character check.
Heisman Trophy. Heisman Trophy. Brandon, I'm going to start here with you. If you got 4 guys as of right now today going to New York, who you got?
Jitsy's got to go. Cam Ward's got to go. Travis has got to go. And then that 4 spots hard, brother. Shador's not getting the credit I feel like he deserves, right? Like, he's been really good. You put his numbers up against anybody else, he's been good. That's probably my 4 if I'm talking to you. I like Caleb Johnson from Iowa, but Iowa's not going to be good enough. I think it's those 4. Smoke, talk to us. What you got, man?
You know what? I kept my guy Kerry quiet for a long time, man. Kerry, I'm not going to get into it. I'm gonna go last, Kerry. I'm gonna let you go. I know you got a couple of guys.
Like the 3 that B. Clay gave. I'm going Cam Ward. I'm going Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, and if you need me to give you a 4th, man, Dylan Gabriel is a name. Jackson Dart, maybe. I don't know. But those 3 for sure. Yep. I don't need 4. I need 3. I got the 3 that I said. Like, I don't know if there's a 4th that's needed. You can put Dylan Gabriel on there. They are the number 1 team in the country, but it's not about your team. It's about you being the best player for in college football. And I think those 3 players that we named are the 3 best players. And if you want to know who my winner is, you just ask, baby. I got you.
You got to let Smoke go first.
Right now, you got it. Every other one, you've been on that fence, straddling the heavy. playing hopscotch on the highway. Right?
Talk to us, Smoke. What you got, Smoke?
Who you got?
I got Genty, Travis Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, and Cam Ward. And I think Cam Ward, for me, walks away with it.
Very fair.
Whew. I'm going Genty, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Carrie, give us so Smoke's giving us this winner. He said Cam Ward. Carrie, talk to us. Who winning, man? Who winning over there, man?
Man, I love Ashton Genty. And y'all can say this is a running back mindset.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, that's what it is. You're right.
Hey. This is my choice.
That's his choice. He can't be wrong. This one, he's right.
I watched, and yeah, I know the questions. Who did he play, or what teams have he played? The man went to Oregon and rushed for 190 plus yards against the number one team, which is now the number one team in the country. They weren't then, but they are now at Oregon. Couple of touchdowns. I watched him pull away on a 70 plus yarder from Oregon defensive backs. Don't tell me he ain't played nobody, because I know that's going to be the question. That's going to be the comment. He ain't played nobody. That man is on pace to rush for 2,000 plus yards. This young man is amazing at what he's doing. And that's not taking anything away from Cam Ward. It's not taking anything away from Travis Hunter, who is playing both sides of the ball at an elite level. But if you rush for 2,000 yards and a $190, 200 of them came against the number one team in the country, yeah, you'll have my vote.
What's that record right now?
8-1, 7-1.
Got it.
They got one loss.
Hey, Reed, you got two guys on there on the same team that's ranked 21st.
Oh yeah, they both going in the top 5 in the draft. I mean, period.
I put money on that, but keep going.
Yeah, we're going top 5. Shador's the best quarterback in the country. Travis Hunter's the best player. Travis Hunter's the Heisman winner in my estimation. You're talking about a guy that's playing both ways at a high level. He could also realistically win the Biletnikoff and the Thorpe Award as the best receiver and best DB in the country. That's not off the table. That he
ain't the best receiver, nor is he the best DB. But keep going. Playing right now.
Who's better? Let's get into it.
Young boy Will Johnson out there in Michigan is better than Travis Hunter at cornerback.
What?
Right I just said that. What you want me to back down and say no?
No, you ain't got to back down.
Well,
I mean,
it'll be interesting to that point though.
And you're telling me that
miss the Oregon game, or he's gonna miss the Oregon game, man.
Are you gonna take right now in the NFL draft? You taking Travis Hunter over T-Mac at Arizona?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Did you watch the game?
Have I watched them both?
Did you watch Arizona play Colorado?
Yeah, I studied them both. One game ain't gonna make me swing no way. I'm telling you, I studied both of them. So Reed, so you have where Cam Ward? No, not in yours.
Yeah, I said Cam Ward.
And you're taking Travis Hunter over Cam Ward?
Yes,
because he's played offense and defense.
He's playing offense and defense every single down.
On the 21st ranked team in the nation. I got you. This got ranked too.
Hey, I feel like Kerry. I need 2 more weeks.
Hey, you know I
gotta wait 2 more weeks.
Hey, Reed, you know they just got in the conversation of being a top 25 team.
Oh man.
I'm just telling you.
Smoke, I'm interested to know your thoughts on Ashton Genty, because you ain't give me no pushback. Because
he's a solid player, solid running back. He's a good running back.
You think?
I don't think he's he's not a once in a generational type runner.
No, I don't think that either. But I think at this level, what he's doing is flat out amazing.
He's doing a good job. He's running the heck out the ball. Good player.
I don't like how you said that. That sound like
he's a nice running back, man. He's a nice running back.
He's good running back. What you want me to say?
He's good. He's good.
He's a good running back. I'm not jumping up and saying, oh, I think Mel Kiper went in and said he's a top 15 player.
He got him on his. They do have him on the big board as a first-round draft pick.
They better see him catch and block real good. I ain't seen him do both of those, but I guess he can. He can run the ball real good.
Hey, now this will be to the Cam Ward discussion. I'm switching to the Cam Ward discussion.
Whew, killer.
Whom I love, for the record. I love the Washington State, man. I think he's
killer.
The ball out, right? Unfortunately, and Kerry, you made a great point earlier. You can only play who's in front of you.
Yeah.
And because the ACC this year, and this is not a shot at Cam Ward, it's just a statement, but he hasn't had the Oregon-like test, right? When you talk about Jinty getting to play in Oregon or a team like that, Ward hadn't had that opportunity for a signature moment. Like, yo, this is my signature. Like, normally when you win the Heisman, you get a signature game against a big caliber team. Not to say Ward shouldn't win it. That's not even my statement here. It's just unfortunate. Really, I wish that he had an opportunity to play Clemson in a year where Clemson was a top 5. Like, where he goes out, throws for 340, 3 touchdowns, and you're like, oh, man, that's him. I wish that he had that. It's not even – it's just a statement to what's happening. He doesn't have
400, 5 touchdowns and 1 pick against Duke.
And Duke just not good. I mean, respectfully to Duke, they've done a
Duke's
great job.
They're not ranked in the top 25.
Yeah, it's just not that signature moment. I wish that he had it. It's just not a shot at Cam Ward by any means.
So
who could be the winner for me, honestly?
Right. So who does the Sanders boys? Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Which one of those guys?
That was nasty, Smoke. Smoke, that was nasty.
I caught myself. I apologize.
That was nasty.
Oh, let's go.
Hey, listen, all the Colorado Buffalo fans that are watching this and that are watching over the course of the week, you see his @ right there. That's his Twitter and that's his IG. You can DM him, @ him, tag him, send him all the hate mail because that was nasty work what he just did.
All I'm saying is we're all talking about signature moments. We said Genty had his losing against Gabriel. I'm sorry, we didn't say that. Damn.
Hey, listen, let me tell you this.
Diabolical, boy.
Hey, remember the player haters ball, Dave Chappelle?
That's on Smoke.
Smoke is the president of the player haters ball.
That's awful.
Apologize. That's on me.
This is like the racial draft where we're all picking somebody and the player haters ball all at once.
All in one.
I'm just every time I tap my head, I'm just writing out little notes. So I saw Genty lose a game against Dylan. I think Dylan Gabriel, he didn't play that bad either in that game.
He didn't. Dylan Gabriel had a late turnover there that almost cost him, if I'm not mistaken.
Almost cost him the win. Got
it.
Almost cost him the win. I got it. They haven't lost it, but almost cost him the win.
Boise State?
Yeah, almost. Head to head, they won. So what did Travis and Shedeur do in their Heisman moment against Baylor or Colorado State or Nebraska? Give me theirs.
Well, you got to talk about the Hail Mary that Shedeur threw to force the game into overtime.
No doubt about it.
And then Travis Hunter forces a fumble on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, man.
Big
time against Baylor. Big time.
But again, any of them could win. I don't have a winner right now. I'm taking Kerry Davis. I need 2 more weeks.
Big time. I'm saying that was a big time play. He came in, knocked it out.
Kerry, he hit you with a little.
I want to know. Because you're talking about Cam Ward as your Heisman.
Yeah.
We gonna go against the Florida A&M game.
Bust him up.
South Florida.
Yeah.
We going at Cal. That was a good game. They probably should have lost.
Came back. Came back. I saw it Thursday. What a throw. What a throw. You talk about Hail Mary. What a throw. Keep going.
Hey, they all smoke. Hit in the comments. They all smoke.
Hey, listen to this. Hey, right here. Hey, Dante say Smoke be sneak this. And Dante, I'm going to tell you something. He's not sneaking. He does this all day long. He is a for real.
I'm just saying.
Hey, so we're gonna talk about the Virginia Tech game where the touchdown was called and then it was taken back and then it was called and it was taken back again.
No doubt.
Been their first loss. That was a touchdown, but
man, listen, I think they got that right. I'm not. They went back. I was sitting there with my wife. I'm sitting there like, whoa, touchdown. They called. I whatever. But here's another question I had. Can you win the Heisman and miss a game? Has that ever happened before?
That's a really good question. I don't know.
Oh no, I did not say any names. I'm just saying. Hypothetically speaking, can we do that? Can you miss a game and win the Heisman?
Yeah, I think you can.
Has that ever happened before anybody?
I mean, because you played enough snaps to play 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you can.
You think? I don't think that's ever happened. I don't know any of that happened. You got to go wire to wire. Haven't seen it. When was the last time a team that missed the playoffs had the Heisman Trophy winner? Jaden Daniels.
The playoff discussion is still very much active.
Jaden Daniels won it last year, fellas, and he played every game, lit it up, got it. Cam Ward style. It's okay.
Didn't LSU lose 2 or 3 games last year?
Yeah, they was in the playoff.
Nah, they did lose.
LSU did.
They lost a ton, but what he did, Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. It don't matter about the losses then.
No, that's what I'm saying. Everyone say I'm sneak dissing. I said that Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Shador Sanders have.
You can't help his.
Let's go.
He can't help himself. He can't help himself, man. Don't worry, man. This is Smoke every day. Don't take it personal. He hates on everybody. Right? He's the number.
I'm by
one
myself.
I
can't hate by myself. You got to have a group to hate with.
And it's so
you can be a solo hater.
You can be definitely, and it's so crazy because
Never seen him.
To be honest with you guys, and I know it may not come up. Smoke has a lovely family. His wife and kids don't act like this. He's totally not.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm a solo cup. So I can't hate. I'm just telling you my truth.
Great.
I have said nothing about any of this that's a lie.
So
what if I said it's a lie?
Listen. So we threw the Heisman. Listen, hey, listen right here. We got a comment right here from a viewer. Hating is bad for your health.
I work out twice a day. I'm in good shape.
It's definitely a disease. I've said this before. I'm not gonna say his name.
Hey, hating if you're telling the truth, man.
Hating is a disease, right? So we're gonna update this Heisman race every week. Last thing, it was some great games last week. I'm gonna start with you, B. Who was your player of the week from last week?
Rourke from Indiana. I mean, they're rolling, man. To come back from the injury, step out, and to Kerry's point, you looked up 47 unanswered, man. Good luck. And now they roll right into Michigan with the opportunity to win that one, get a week off, and then play in the biggest game. I don't know, maybe in school history. Like I can't speak back to Lee Corso days, but I can't think there have been too many games that would be bigger than Ohio State should they be able to win it. So he's had a great year, but I'm going to go over Rourke for sure.
Kerry, who's your player of the week?
For me, it was Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. They took it to the number 10 team in the country, man. He threw for 244, rushed for over 100, I believe. And I mean, just really the poise that young man shown. Second play of the game, unblocked blitzer, sat in the pocket, stood, made the defender miss, and completed a 20-yard pass downfield. That a play like that can change early in the game, can change the game. And so he to me, played an outstanding game yesterday. And again, against the number 10 team in the country, they took it to Texas A&M.
Man, that's big time.
Hey, the bigger dance was crazy. Y'all saw that after?
Yeah.
Hey, man, he won a lot of points with me. I'm a Georgia guy, but I love that. That was amazing, man.
Smoke, where you at your player of the week from last week?
25 for 41, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. Cam Ward, Heisman Trophy winner. Simple as that. Keep on pushing.
Listen, I'm giving a major shout out to Kevin Jennings, quarterback from SMU. They knocked off Pitt, 17 for 25, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Pitt came in undefeated, and he got him up out of there. I think that's big. I do have, before we get out of here, we got one question that I want us to answer. Smoke, I'm going to start with you on this. Right? I'm going to start with you, and we're gonna go around because we've all dealt with this. This is from Terry Bryant. Can you explain the evaluation process, including the star rankings, and how that plays a factor in the recruiting process? How do I get my players evaluated or rated to help them get recruited?
Well, I would say that you have to get offers, and Carl, you and I said it first, to help your ratings. And the simplest way for me, and I'll explain to anybody, once you get into the 8th grade, start showing up to these camps. Go to the UA camps if you are invited. Go to your local university camps and just build in a camp circuit. Because once you get verified and you show up to camps and you do your thing and you compete at a high level, that's when the entire evaluation process starts to skyrocket for everybody. Because most players aren't good enough to be on really good teams and get recruited the proper way, get evaluated the proper way. And that's when you start getting a lot of your misses. So go get you a in-person eval at your local school, show up, show out, and I guarantee you'll see the rating starts going through the roof. Because, Reed, you and I both know, Bama, Ohio State, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, Clemson, Texas offers you, at minimum, your 4-star.
B, what's your thoughts on this, on that question?
Well, I'm going to take Smoke's answer, add to it. That's one of the things that y'all said that I love. If you show up to camp, you got to run. If you show up to camp, you got to be ready to go through the gauntlet of camp. You can't come, pick and choose, do what you want to do. And then basketball-wise, kind of the same thing, right? You got to don't go to all the camps, but you got to go to some, get on campuses. And then honestly, too, if you can find independent people, football-wise, I'm hitting Carl Reed, I'm hitting Smoke, I'm hitting Kerry in the inbox. And if they can't put together an eval for me off my film, they'll point me in the direction of somebody who will do a good job for me. Use that person's evaluation. They'll be honest, obviously, word it correctly, but put that on your resume, right? Put that up on a graphic or a quote. Hey, this is what Smoke Dixon had to say about my game. This is what Kerry Davis had to say. Whoever's in your circle and reach out, most people will respond to direct messages. I can't speak for Reed, who gets 1 million a day, but I think me, Kerry, and Smoke get a small enough workload to be able to reply and get some good feedback. Right. And then I think even from a basketball standpoint or any other sport too, reach out to 5 or 6 of the people that you can see that are considered the experts in the space. Connect with them. Hey, where should I go? Those people will point you in the right direction and a lot of times give you some good, honest feedback. And they won't kill you and they won't overhype you, but they'll kind of find that middle ground to give you a little bit of direction. Take that direction and run with it and then put the work in yourself to get to where you need to be. Like Smoke said, create a circuit for yourself. Even if you're an underclass kid, go ahead and get a circuit that you're used to. Hey, after my 9th grade summer, after my 10th grade summer, after my 11th grade summer, I kind of run the same gauntlet. People get familiar with me. They know me by name and kind of go from there and let your profile build, get a little steam.
Kerry?
Same. I mean, for me, I'm obviously the camps and all those things. You can't be afraid to compete. Like, you cannot run from competition. You can't duck. You cannot hide. For me, if I have aspirations of being a 4-star, 5-star receiver, let me get lined up with this 4-star DB. Let me show you who I am and what I can do. If I'm an offensive lineman who has aspirations of being a 5-star D lineman, well, where's the 4-star offensive lineman that's committed to that's got the 25 offers or they got the 10 offers and he's trying to get that one more, them 10 more, that big line me up against him because I'm gonna show you that I can compete with that person and be a dog. Like when your film is turned on or when somebody show up to your game, they shouldn't have to ask who they need to look at. They should walk in there and it should visibly be known. Oh, he different. Oh, he different. He's physically different. He's standing over the rest of the kids. He's faster than the rest of the kids. He's stronger. He has a better skill set than the people that are trying to cover him or block him or whatever it is. Do all of those things. Work at your craft. Like be disciplined in what it is you say you want. Because I hear a lot of people say, man, I want to make it to the league. Your work ethic don't show me that. Grades don't show me that. Your commitment to your craft does not show me that. You don't just wake up and make it to the NFL, to the NBA, to Major League Baseball. There's a lot of work and more sacrifice than you will be willing to ever know or admit that is there. So if you go into these camps, show up, show out, don't be afraid to compete. And if you know somebody is there that has got those offers that you say you deserve, go compete against them and show the people that are watching that you need to be the one looked at as well.
So what I always say is this. It's a couple of things. Number one, the offers come before the stars, right? You don't get stars and then people start offering you. You get offers and then you get stars based on the schools that are recruiting you. when I go watch a high school football player, whether I'm watching his tape, whether I'm watching him in person, I'm expecting to see a player that dominates high school football. When I see you play, you have to jump off the tape to me. You have to jump off of the field. It should be a sizable difference between your ability and the ability of the other players if you're a major Division I football prospect. And if you don't jump off like that, then we got to start breaking it down into levels and start talking about real evaluation and really where you fit. Is it going down to the lower tier of Power 5 schools or Power 4 schools now? Is it going down to Group of 5, to FCS, down to Division II? And those evaluations are real. I see a lot of good high school football players that are Division II players, and they're not going to have stars, and they're not going to play in the SEC or the Big Ten. It's way more kids that can play Division II and FCS football than it is guys that can play in the SEC or the Big Ten. You got to be big. You got to be able to run. You got to be able to move. You got to be violent. You got to have physical skills. I'm going to have parents and coaches that are going to always text me or call me, and they're going to say, my kid is 6'1", and he killed the kid that's going to Alabama in the game last week. The kid from Alabama is 6'7". He's 310 pounds, and so he's going to get an opportunity to go play at Bama as long as he can play. And that's just what the sport is, and that's the way kind of the game is. But for me, when you send me a tape, when I go to a game, it's an opportunity for you to show me that you can play dominant football. And if you can, I'll stand on the table for you, and I'll call the coach directly. Every time I go to a high school game, and I go to a lot of them, I want to see somebody that makes me want to call somebody. I want to see a player that makes me get excited, that makes me run to my social media, that makes me contact every coach I know and say, this is a guy that has a chance and that he's a good football player. But you got to dominate. You got to play big-time high school football. It has to be no question on your ability. And we've all played with, like, Smoke played with Darnell Dockett, one of the greatest high school football players of all time. He played at Bama. Kerry and I played with and against some of the greatest players to ever come out of high school football where we from. It's just levels to it. And you gotta put in work if you want to be thought of in that atmosphere.
Reed, before we go, I want to touch on this because I think you hit something that goes both ways in a great way. There are definitely measurables that jump off pages, right? But then you look at Smoke's guy, Cam Ward. He starts his career at Incarnate Word, works his way to Washington State, finds his way to Miami. You look at Genty, smaller running back, Boise State, but making a name for himself. Where does Shador and Travis start? Jackson State. And I get it, Deion's involved, but nobody was screaming from the hills for Shador Sanders as a big-time quarterback. Oh, he's not really that good. If Deion went to Florida State, he couldn't play at Florida State. Like, almost everybody, Gabriel, right, starts at Oklahoma. So all five of the people that we mentioned in terms of this year's Heisman race have stayed in the trenches, so to speak, long enough to turn themselves into something outside of Travis, who was a little bit different. I get that. But maybe that people didn't think that they were when they entered college. So it's really interesting to watch those other four guys. Travis is who we thought he was, but even him playing both ways, people thought it couldn't be done, which has turned into a Heisman. If he plays on one side of the ball or the other, we're not mentioning him in this conversation. So literally all five of the guys that we mentioned in tonight's Heisman conversation are guys that fought through a little, if you want to call it adversity, you can say that, but fought through a little adversity to get to where they are. Some disbelief, some people that maybe weren't 10 toes down with them, some situations that didn't look like they were conducive to this type of success, but yet and still here they all are. So in both directions, sometimes it happens early, the offers become the stars, and you're able to walk in the door day one at a Power 4 university and become really good. And other times you just got to work through life. You got to let life play out. You got to stay down, keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding. Sometimes it might be only you and your family that believe in that room, and you still find a way to get it done, and you arrive at where you're supposed to be. So don't give up.
And go ahead, Smoke. Go ahead.
No,
Smoke.
you go ahead.
The last thing I would say on it is, and don't just position yourself, prepare yourself.
Absolutely.
You can talk about NIL, you can talk about your stars, what camps you need to go to, but the thing that I think we miss the most, right, and I'm going to let Smoke close it after this, is you actually have to be a good football player. At some point, they're going to expect you to play good football. They're going to expect you to be physically dominant. They're going to expect you to be mentally dominant, be assignment sound, know what all of your responsibilities are. They're going to expect you to go to class. We have players, they run from camp to camp. They chase offer after offer. And then when it's time to play football, they can't play. They can't play football. They want to talk NIL money. They want to talk about what jersey number they're going to get. They want to take as many pictures as they can. But when it's time to actually play the game of football, most guys end up not really being able to play football. And it's the same in the coaching profession. It's the same in most professions. Guys are always positioning themselves, but they never prepare themselves to actually do the job that they are chasing and that they're trying to get.
B, I think you hit on some great points. All the guys that we're talking about in terms of Heisman, all older guys that's played a ton of football. Mature pros out of all of them. And I was just going through all my quarterback studies today because I watched all the NFL guys on every position. And the number one thing I kept on coming back was older player. And that's getting past what we were talking about in high school. But if any advice for all these young guys that want to get better, just go play. Don't worry about stars, ratings, who's recruiting you. Because if you can play at any level, someone's going to come get you. We just talked about roster construction and roster building. If you're at a Division II school and you have the right people in the building that's evaluating talent throughout the United States, yeah, they'll come get you. Cam Ward has played so much football that it don't even matter what you throw at him. He's seen it. Travis Hunter has done so much in terms of coverage and route running that in a route that you can run that he hasn't covered, or is not a route that he can't cover that he hasn't run. Dylan Gabriel's played ball from Florida, Oklahoma, all the way to the Pacific Northwest. It's just these guys are just playing football. And I think we get so caught up in trying to get our players stars, trying to get our players recruited at the highest school, the highest level, that we miss out on the whole point of playing and developing and getting really good at your craft. So it matters not if you're at Georgia and you're the fourth offensive lineman, you haven't played. I'd rather be at Savannah State and be playing 3 years of high-level football with the opportunity now to go to Georgia in my fourth year to go start and play, knowing that, man, I've been throwing steel on my back all these years, and all Georgia is from Savannah State is an opportunity for me. Yep. And I'm not going to lose sight of what my vision is because I fought for it the entire time. And I think that's when we have to like button it down and get back to like the grassroots of it all. We all had to buckle up our chin strap, put our shoulder pads on, and go to work. And when you went to work, you finished it out. And wherever it all the chips laid, at the end of the day, say, hey, listen, this is how good I could have been, and this is how good I am. And you move on. But everybody's not going to go to the NFL, and everybody's not going to be a five-star.
It's competing a lost art. Kerry, I'm going to start with this just came to it's competing a lost art now.
Yes.
We're making it that way, fellas.
I tell people, I would tell my parents this all the time. If your child wants to start, you're going to have to compete. And competition is in every walk of life. Every person that's going to watch this that has a job, more than likely they had to interview for that job, which means they had multiple people interviewing for that job. That's competition. They chose you because you were the best one for that job. Competition is in every walk of life. So if your child does not want to compete, if they are afraid to compete, they are not going to have success, especially in this sport. Like it is competition based. It is, me versus you, man versus man, in all sport, woman versus woman, whatever it is, person versus person. You are trying to be the best version of yourself, and you got to compete against somebody that wants to take something from you. And if you're unwilling to do that, if you're unwilling to meet or match that level of intensity, don't worry about it. You're not going to play. Like, don't worry about it. Don't get mad. Don't be frustrated. Ain't nobody hating on you. Ain't nobody keeping you from your dreams and your aspirations. You have to have something inside you, innately in you, that wants to compete and is willing to compete and earn something or take something. Nobody gonna give you nothing. You got to go get it. So that comes through competition. And if you're unwilling to do that, good luck. There ain't gonna be a lot of success for you in this sport. Just not gonna happen.
Right. But what are we saying when we pluck a third team guard from a team to come to your team to play?
We saying he gonna have to compete for a spot, or we're saying I don't got a guard and I think this kid can come in and play for me right away. But if the second team guard that is at that spot, that is at that destination that they just pulled a person from, is unwilling to compete, then you're telling the kid that you brought in, this is your spot. But there are people on that roster still. If they go out and bring somebody in the transfer portal, they're basically saying they don't think you're good enough, or they think somebody is better than you. So either fold and quit, or compete and show them you wasted your time going to get that person in the transfer portal. That person at the school has to compete at that point. So
for life.
Competition is everywhere, man. If you're not willing to do it, hey, best of luck to you.
There it is. You're right. I just had to throw that layup at you. It's going in.
Yeah, you got to bet down. So listen, guys. We want to thank everybody. We got over 1,800 watching us live tonight. Now I want to say this. I'm gonna leave with this. For all the people who Smoke Dixon is not a bad guy. He's actually
a really good guy.
He's actually a really great guy. He's a great person.
Hard eval, man.
He's if you move into a neighborhood, he's the kind of neighbor that you want. He'll help you. He'll pull your trash can back up to the top of the driveway after the trash man.
A good neighbor.
He picks it up. He'll invite you over when he barbecues. Now, he does not allow his kids to play video games, unless they're at my house, because my house is the fun house.
Fun house.
Carrie would tell you that the kids prefer to come have a good time at my house, but
Uncle Carl house.
But if you have a problem with any of the hate that he said, those opinions are his own, right? And you can see his socials right on the screen. You can hit him.
Oh, he set you up.
You can hit him. All right. All the Colorado fans. You can attack Smoke on social media on his own. He can handle it. He's
Reed, the only thing I'm asking you again, Reed, whenever I ever looked you in that face and told you a lie, and when I have not stood up on evidence behind my eval. That's it. That's it. And if you call that hating because I don't agree with you, hey man, I'll live with it.
Hey, listen, you can call it what you want to call it, but just don't call me with it. Right? Call Smoke. Guys, we enjoying Monday night. Smoke has a hat on. That must mean that his razors didn't come in this week. We still
I just knew that a lot of my mindset had to be military tonight, because I knew I had 3 guys that were going to attack me, and I knew you were going to be out there like that. Yeah, you know what? Because if you're not with me, you're against me. So it's okay. and I'm good on. That's what I'm saying. I'm not a hater, because haters, they want others to join in. I just tell the truth and stand alone and just be on my corner like this. So I had to put the militant hat on just to let you know I had military mind, 5-star general, and I'm just coming at it tonight.
I just need 2 more weeks, man.
All I need.
Hey, the last thing, we want to give a shout out to Trevor Trout in the back, who's doing all our social clips for us. Trevor Trout, he can't talk right now, but he can hear us. He doesn't know anything about basketball, but we'll talk about that later. And keep working, everybody. Thank you for joining in.